Here's your weekly dose of facts. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. In 1996, the captain and flight engineer of a Colombian cargo flight decided to prank their novice first officer by giving him control of the plane and shutting off 2 engines. The plane stalled immediately after takeoff and crashed into a neighborhood, killing 22 people. A survey of 5,188 US workers found that 46% of them said that they would take less paid time off work than is offered to them. In World War I, the British Army would allow groups of friends to volunteer together and then let them serve in the same units in return. As a result, casualties to these PALS battalions would wreak havoc on entire communities in Britain. In the late 60s, when checking into hotels, Paul and Linda McCartney would use their aliases Mr. and Mrs. Ramone to avoid Beatlemania in the press. But when Douglas Colvin or Dee Dee Ramone read about this, he called his band the Ramones, and it became one of the most legendary punk bands of all time. Birth order affects lifetime health. Firstborn children tend to have worse health at birth. Firstborns are more likely to receive care for depression in childhood and to develop diabetes in later life, while younger siblings are more likely to be hospitalized for drug and alcohol abuse. George Washington's favorite food was called hoe cakes, a type of pancake made from cornbread. I'm trying to find me a girl with some hoe cakes, you know what I'm saying? You squat, baby. A suffragette once followed Winston Churchill everywhere he went and rang a bell every time he tried to speak in public. Almost all of Louis XIV's body was destroyed during the French Revolution. However, a piece of his mummified heart was kept by the Archbishop of York, who showed it to the Dean of Westminster, who ate it. Bovines, such as cows and bulls, can't see the color red. The 1912 Stockholm Olympics was the last time winners received medals made of 100% solid gold. Ever since then, first place medals have been gold-plated. Saito Musashibo Benkai was a Japanese warrior reputed to have single-handedly killed over 300 trained soldiers while defending a bridge. His combat prowess in close quarters was so formidable that his enemies had to resort to killing him with a volley of arrows, and he died standing upright. Beluga whales can mimic the pattern of human speech. Ooh. One captive beluga, after overhearing divers using an underwater communication system, caused one of the divers to surface by imitating their order to get out of the water. Get out of water, ooh. Maybe. Shaquille O'Neal once put $70,000 on a credit card at Walmart and it was declined. American Express suspected that it was a fraudulent charge. Garlic bread was popularized as a replacement for bruschetta, since ingredients from Italy like olive oil and certain types of breads were not available in the United States. Instead, French breads like baguettes and butter were used as a cheaper substitute. In 1996, when Wendy Day took Eminem's demo to different labels, she couldn't get any of them to even consider signing him because he's white. So she created the Rap Olympics to showcase his talent and bring attention back to lyricism. At the event, Eminem made a contact that led to signing a deal. A piece of transplanted liver can grow into a full-sized, fully functional liver in the recipient in less than 6 weeks. At the same time, the donor's liver regenerates to replace the missing section. Deep within the Earth lies the remains of a planet that crashed into it billions of years ago. Conjoined twins occur once in every 50,000 to 60,000 births, and 70% of conjoined twins are female. 40% of HPV-related cancers occur in men. We don't actually know why testicles are outside of the body. Theories like due to heat fail, since many animals like elephants or birds have testicles inside the body and a higher internal temperature. Others, like the galloping hypothesis, were proposed, but all theories so far have failed one way or another. When Al Capone reached prison, he was diagnosed with neurosyphilis and eventually paroled early based on his reduced mental capabilities. Children from low-income households with rich friends are likely to earn more in adulthood. Believe it or not, gasoline was commonly used for dry cleaning clothes in early 1900s American homes. It was also extremely dangerous, as you would imagine, forcing the California State Fire Marshal to create a campy PSA video about it in 1941. Ramones singer Joey Ramone was born with a parasitic twin attached to his back. Walt Disney was a descendant of Robert Designy, a companion of William the Conqueror. The surname Disney originates as the Anglicization of Designy. Due to a 2020 rule change, an MLB pitcher can throw a perfect game yet be credited with a loss as long as they retire every opposing batter. We don't know who named the Earth. Unlike other planets, there are no records of how it got its name. The name Earth and variations of it date back 1,000+ years. Wildlife painter John James Audubon ate all of the birds he painted, including bald eagles, snowy owls, sparrows, robins, and whooping cranes. The Panera tribe lived mostly isolated from the rest of the world until 1973, when the Brazilian government had a highway built directly through their territory. Within a year, 70% of the tribe had died of newly introduced diseases. That is awful, shame on them. ABBA turned down an offer of $1 billion to play 100 shows for their 50th anniversary. Since 1954, the supernova star IPTF-14 HLS has exploded 6 times, somehow surviving each time, and it's a bizarre example of a zombie star. Latin and Irish have no words for yes or no. In medieval Latin, sic, meaning so and thus, was often used for yes, while non, meaning not, was used for no. Also, Irish is an endangered language with less than 80,000 native speakers left. A passage in a Tudor warrant book discovered by an archivist in 2020 includes instructions from Henry VIII explaining precisely how he wanted his second wife, Anne Boleyn, to be executed. It shows his premeditated, calculated manner, and he knew exactly how and where he wants it to happen. Alaska pays a yearly dividend to full-time residents, amounting most recently to $1,312 in 2023 and $3,284 in 2022. I don't know if that payday is worth just freezing your nutsack off every day. No. Cola mixed with beer is really common in Germany. It's called Diesel. In addition, Coke with red wine is common in Poland. The New York Stock Exchange is owned by a company called Intercontinental Exchange, which has its stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Kmart actually still has 6 remaining brick-and-mortar locations, 3 in the US Virgin Islands and 1 each in Guam, Florida, and the Hamptons. Apple seeds do not yield the same apple that it came from. Every apple seed yields a completely unique apple. If you want the exact same apple, you have to cut a branch off the existing apple tree and graft it onto another tree. The United States is the world's largest consumer market, accounting for 30% of global consumer spending despite representing only 4.2% of the global population. Dinner, the big meal, used to be around midday, so artificial light wasn't needed, and then supper was an evening snack. Dinner moved later into the day during the 18th century until it was so late that a new meal was needed to bridge the gap: lunch. The recently built $5 billion SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California has no air conditioning. It instead relies on the sea breeze to cool the stadium down. Steve Jobs had a tendency to eat only 1 or 2 foods like carrots or apples for weeks at a time. In 2021, the man with the largest family in India died. He had 39 wives, 94 kids, and 33 grandchildren. He was the head of a religious sect and lived in a pink complex with 100 rooms. He once married 10 wives in a year and would have 7 to 8 by his side at all times. In 2007, a 75-year-old Swedish pensioner had the fastest internet in the world at 40 gigabytes per second. That's fast. Scottish banknotes are issued by 3 retail banks and they are not legal tender anywhere in the UK. Scottish banknotes are not legal tender even in Scotland, where, in law, no banknotes, even those issued by the Bank of England, are defined as legal tender. Costco sells more than 100 million hot dogs a year. In 2015, it sold 4 times as many as sold in all the Major League Baseball stadiums combined. Enzo Ferrari chose not to get too close to his drivers out of fear of emotionally hurting himself after the death of Ferrari driver Alberto Ascari in 1955. Later in life, he relented his position and grew very close to Gilles Villeneuve, who would also die driving a Ferrari in 1982. Ball lightning are luminescent spherical objects that can appear and last for over a minute before disappearing either quietly or as an explosion, leaving behind the smell of sulfur. To this day, there's no definitive explanation for them. A Nebraska woman was able to pump a total of $28,000 worth of gasoline without charge for over a period of around 6 to 7 months due to a glitch in the card system. By swiping her rewards card twice at the pump card machine, she was able to access the demo mode. People working to plant and harvest tobacco can get a condition known as green tobacco sickness from dew or rainwater on the plants. But that's it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please help me out in the algorithm by leaving a like and of course a comment down below. And if you'd like to talk to me outside of YouTube, I stream on Twitch every single day. The link is in the description. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.